as I straightened the display in my small accessories boutique, Stellar Style. The morning sun hadn't yet reached the skylight and most stores were still dark. But I was always early, reviewing numbers and preparing for the day. Diana, Mom's voice carried through the empty corridor, making me wince. Still playing shop owner, I see. She stood in my store's entrance, designer handbag prominently displayed, wearing that familiar look of disappointment. Behind her, my sister Madison tapped away on her phone, barely concealing her smirk. "Good morning, Mom," I said, continuing to arrange the new collection. "What brings you to the mall so early?" "The board meeting, of course," Madison answered, finally looking up. "Some of us have real business to attend to. Mom's presenting the quarterly reports for her department stores." I nodded, remembering how proud they'd been when Madison became the youngest board member of Lux Retail Group. Meanwhile, my little hobby shop was, in their eyes, barely worth acknowledging. "Diana, honey," Mom sighed, picking up one of my handcrafted bags. "When are you going to give this up? You have an MBA from Wharton, for heaven's sake. You could be running a real business." "I am running a real business," I replied, checking my phone as another notification came in. "This." Madison gestured around my carefully curated space. "This isn't a business, it's a booth. Your entire store could fit in my walk-in closet." Mom wandered to my small office area, frowning at the simple desk. "At least tell me you're considering that position Madison mentioned at Lux. Assistant buyer isn't exactly executive level, but it's a start." I smiled, watching the mall's security cameras track movement at the entrance. "Right on schedule." "Actually, I have a meeting this morning too," I said, straightening my simple blazer. "With your craft suppliers?" Madison laughed. "Or wait, let me guess. The food court manager about cross-promotion?" The mall's early morning silence was broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. Multiple sets moving with purpose. "Diana," Mom started, her voice taking on that lecture tone I knew too well. "You need to think about your future. This little shop of yours barely brings in enough to—" "Miss Bennett." A commanding voice interrupted from the doorway. There stood Marcus Chin, owner of the largest retail property group in North America. Behind him, a team of executives in impeccable suits filled the store's entrance. "Right on time, Mr. Chin," I said calmly, enjoying the way Mom's perfectly maintained expression froze. "Shall we begin?" "Diana," Marcus smiled warmly, stepping forward to shake my hand. "I've told you to call me Marcus. Especially now that you're about to become our biggest retail partner." Mom's designer bag slipped from her grasp. Madison's phone clattered onto the display case. "I've brought the final contracts," Marcus continued, gesturing to his legal team. "The board is extremely excited about acquiring Stellar Style's complete operations. 300 locations is ambitious, but with your numbers." 300. Mom whispered, her voice faint. I pulled out my tablet, bringing up the presentation I'd prepared. "Actually, Marcus, I've been reviewing the projections. I think we should push for 500 locations in the first phase." The executives murmured appreciatively as I pulled up charts showing my store's performance metrics. Numbers that had made retail giants take notice. This little shop?" Madison stammered, looking around with new eyes. "This little shop," Marcus explained, "has the highest profit per square foot ratio in the entire retail sector. Diana's business model has revolutionized luxury accessories distribution. That's why we're paying $12 billion for the chain." Mom grabbed the nearest display rack for support. $12 billion. Plus performance incentives, I added, pulling up the contract details. "Though I'm more interested in the sustainability initiatives we discussed, Marcus. Has the board approved the eco-friendly manufacturing facilities?" "All greenlit," he confirmed. "They're calling it the Bennett Protocol now. Your approach to sustainable luxury is going to change the industry." Madison's phone buzzed. Probably news alerts as the announcement went live. My tiny store was about to become headline news. "Now," Marcus said, spreading out the contracts, "shall we make history?" I caught Mom's eye as she stared at the numbers on the documents. Numbers that dwarfed her department store's annual revenue. "Diana," she whispered, "how long have you been building an empire?" I finished for her, signing the first page. "About as long as you've been mocking my little shop." The morning sun finally reached the skylight, illuminating my small store, the blueprint that was about to transform retail forever. Outside, I could hear the mall coming to life, unaware that the quiet shopkeeper in the corner store was about to become one of the most powerful figures in global retail. The press conference is at 10, Marcus informed me. The business networks are already setting up in the atrium. I nodded, then turned to my stunned family. Mom, Madison, you should head to your board meeting. I believe Lux Retail Group is about to have some interesting discussions about their new competitor. As they stood frozen watching me sign away billions, I allowed myself a small smile. Sometimes the biggest empires start in the smallest shops, if you just take the time to build them right. The mall's atrium transformed into a media circus within hours. CNBC, Bloomberg, and every major network jostled for position as Marcus Chin and I prepared for the press conference. Through the glass walls of the VIP conference room, I could see my mother and sister sitting shell-shocked in the front row, having apparently forgotten their own board meeting entirely. And these are the global expansion projections, I explained to Marcus, sliding another document across the table. We'll start with Paris, Milan, and Tokyo. The Asian market alone should triple our revenue within 18 months. Remarkable, Marcus mused, studying the numbers. You've been planning this for years, haven't Worth? Since business school, I confirmed, remembering Mom's dismissive comments about my waste of a Wharton degree. While everyone thought I was just running a small boutique, I was building and testing the perfect retail model. My phone buzzed with another alert. Stellar Style Revolution, how a small shop became a retail empire. The headline made me smile. They had no idea what was coming next. Ms. Bennett, my newly appointed PR director, entered. We're ready for you. But there's something else you might want to address first. She nodded toward the atrium, where I could see Lux Retail Group's entire board arriving, looking panicked. Your sister's company? Marcus guessed. They're about to announce a 40% drop in quarterly earnings, I explained. Apparently their young board members' innovative strategies weren't so innovative after all. Through the glass, I watched Madison's face pale as her CEO pulled her aside, presumably delivering the news that would end her meteoric rise in retail. The press conference began with Marcus Chen's introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to witness isn't just a business acquisition. It's a revolution in retail, spearheaded by a visionary who understood that the future of luxury lies in sustainability, accessibility, and innovation. I stepped up to the podium, aware of my mother's fixed stare. The simple blazer I wore, part of my upcoming sustainable fashion line, suddenly felt like armor. For 5 years, I began, Stellar Style has been more than a small accessories shop. It's been a living laboratory, perfecting a business model that will transform retail forever. The screens behind me lit up with data. Profit margins that made industry veterans gasp, sustainability metrics that put eco-friendly brands to shame, and innovation patents that would reshape manufacturing. Each customer who visited our tiny store, I continued, glancing at Madison, became part of the most sophisticated retail research project in history. Every purchase, every interaction helped build an AI-driven model for the future of luxury retail. Mom's hand flew to her throat as the screens displayed my global infrastructure. Automated manufacturing facilities, eco-friendly supply chains, and technology that made traditional retail look prehistoric. While others focused on expansion without innovation, I said, watching the Lux Retail Group board shift uncomfortably, we focused on perfection before scale. Today we're not just announcing an acquisition. We're announcing the future. The reporters erupted with questions, but I focused on one particular detail that I knew would hit home. Our first flagship store, I announced, will occupy the entire east wing of Riverside Mall, including the space currently held by Lux Retail's flagship department store. Madison's CEO's face turned purple. My sister slumped in her seat as reporters swung their cameras toward her, no doubt recognizing the former retail prodigy, who was about to lose her empire to her small shop sister. Furthermore, I continued, Stellar Style's AI-driven retail system has already been quietly tested in 50 locations worldwide, disguised as small independent boutiques. Each one outperformed neighboring luxury retailers by an average of 300%. Mom's perfectly maintained composure cracked as she realized the implications. While she'd been bragging about Madison's board position, I'd been building something that would make traditional retail obsolete. Ms. Bennett, a reporter called out, sources say you've been offered positions at major luxury brands for years. Why maintain the pretense of running a small shop? I smiled, thinking of all the condescending comments, all the family dinners where my little store was a source of mockery. Sometimes, I replied, the best way to change the game is to let others underestimate you while you perfect your strategy. The screens shifted to live footage of stellar-style locations worldwide, each about to unveil their true identity. In Paris, Milan, Tokyo, and dozens of other cities, my small shops were about to reveal themselves as pieces of a global retail empire. Now, I concluded, we're ready to show the world what we've built. And this is just the beginning. As applause erupted, I caught sight of my mother's face, a mixture of shock, shame, and something that might have been pride. Madison sat beside her, staring at her phone as Lux Retail's stock price plummeted in real time. Marcus Chin stepped forward to shake my hand, cameras flashing as the retail world witnessed its own revolution. Sometimes the biggest victories come wrapped in the smallest packages, or in this case the smallest shops in the mall. The press conference wasn't over, but the message was clear. The game had changed and I had been the one changing it all along. As the press conference ended, Mom approached me in the now empty atrium, her designer heels echoing against marble floors. Diana, she said softly, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, I replied, checking the latest stock projections. Stellar Styles' value had already doubled since the announcement. Madison stood behind her, clutching her termination letter from Lux Retail. How did you do all this without anyone knowing? The same way I did everything else, I smiled. While you were both busy looking down on my little shop, I was looking toward the future. Marcus Chin approached with the final documents. Diana, Tokyo's waiting for a video call. Shall we? Mom reached out, touching my arm. I was wrong. We were all wrong about you. No, I corrected her gently. You were wrong about what success looks like. Sometimes it's not about the size of the shop. It's about the size of the vision. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Madison, about that assistant buyer position you offered me? I'm actually hiring for a new sustainable fashion division. Entry-level, of course. Feel free to submit your resume. As I walked away toward my empire's next chapter, I heard Mom whisper, all this time we thought we were watching her fail. No, Marcus replied, loud enough for me to hear. You were watching her build a revolution, one small shop at a time. The morning sun streamed through the skylight, illuminating my tiny store one last time before construction began to transform it into the flagship of a global empire. Sometimes the biggest dream